Hi everyone, welcome to the Green School webinar. If you look to the right of your screen, you will be able to see a section where you can type in messages and you can type in questions. So it would be great if all of you on the webinar right now can just pop a message in there to say that you can hear me. That would be great, and then we can get underway. I will give you a moment to do that. Joining me this afternoon, I have Catherine and Kendall. Oh, great. I can see all those messages coming in. That's great. Looks like everyone can hear. Fantastic. So I have this afternoon with me, I have Catherine and I have Kendall, who are two Green School parents that are joining the chat this afternoon. So between us, I hope we're going to have a lot to share with you. So my name is Kate and I'm the head of community at Green School. So I have the privilege and the fun of dealing with lots of things to do with the grown-ups of Green School. So if you haven't already got the idea that Green School is really a whole family experience, this is part of what we want to share with you this afternoon, and that's part of the role that I have at Green School. So welcoming our new families, looking after all of our employees and our wonderful teachers, and our parent programs, parent learning and community events, those sorts of things. So I'm also a Green School parent. I just realised this year actually I'm in a really interesting situation. I have one Green School graduate, a previous graduate, my eldest son. I have a current Green School graduate, so my daughter who will be finishing grade 12 in June, and a future Green School graduate with my youngest child finishing grade 8 this year in middle school. So we came to the Green School for 1 year, for a 1 year experience, and that was 8 years ago, and that's actually quite a common Green School family story. So I hope today I have a lot to share with you from my perspective of head of community, but also as a parent, and I'm really pleased to have the other two parents here with me this afternoon or this morning, depending where you are in the world. So can I introduce Kendall? Are you there, Kendall?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, hi, my name's Kendall. And sorry, I think I might be dealing with some a little bit of delay here, but hi, Kate. Thanks for welcoming me here.
Great. Thanks, Kendall. So Kendall's been a Green School parent for many years as well. What are you up to? How many years are you up to, Kendall?
We're coming up to 5 years, and like you, Kate, we came for 1. So we kind of, caught the bug and fell in love with Bali and Green School, and nearly 5 years here now. So I've got plenty that I can share with all the prospective parents. Lots and lots of inside information, if that's what you're after.
Okay, that's great. And do we have Catherine there as well? Catherine here. Okay, well, we'll wait. She was here. She's dropped out, but we'll wait for Catherine to join. Hopefully she'll jump into the conversation as we go. So please, as we move along, type your questions into that chat box. That would be wonderful, and we're going to keep an eye on that as we have our conversation, and we will do our best to answer everything that you put forward. If we don't get to your question, please don't worry. We will save them all, and we will send those out to you, the answers to those questions. So please keep them coming. That's fantastic. So sorry, I can see some people are having a little technical difficulty. Apologise for that. Not sure what I can do at this end, but we'll push on, and hopefully you can get that resolved. So by way of kind of opening, I guess, today's session is really about how we are as a community at Green School, and also living in Bali and what that experience is like. As I say, we've been there for 8 years, and I know for a lot of our families, it really is the whole family experience that they fall in love with when they come to Green School. So we want to talk a little bit about that, but we also want to answer the specific questions that you have. I know for many parents, there's quite practical questions about finding a house and where to live, and those sorts of things. So let me start a little bit with telling you about the experience for the family. So for our children and myself and also Kendall, actually we've had our children move through all the different neighbourhoods at Green School. So we have 4 learning neighbourhoods. We have our early years, our tiniest, most adorable community members in our early years program, at 3 to 5-year-old generally. Then we have primary school, which is grades 1 to 5. That's our biggest learning neighbourhood. We have that weird, wild, wacky and wonderful age range of 12 to 14 in our middle school program. That's grades 6, 7 and 8. And then we have our high school. So they are our kind of green leaders in our community, and that's grades 9 through to 12. So I myself have had my children move through all those neighbourhoods over the years, and they all offer something special and unique, but all with a very holistic program and all with a great sense of educating for sustainability. Catherine, my love, welcome, and I might ask you, if you don't mind, to put yourself on mute for a minute there, as I can see you're fiddling around with all the controls on your computer. Okay, that's great. Okay, so I see a question pop up there about mosquitoes on campus. That's a great practical question. Thank you. Just to give a little context, of course, our campus is quite wild and we love that. And when we come to Green School, when we enroll in Green School, we really want to understand that that's part of what we offer, that wild kind of jungle experience. So we've got to be up for that, and we've got to want that for our children. So the campus itself is quite deliberately rugged. So we, on purpose, make the steps uneven and make the campus quite rugged. We also allow our children to run freely through the campus. So this, for some of us coming out of a city or a standard kind of school, that can be quite a different experience. We realise when we get there that many of us have spent most of our lives in man-made kind of environments between home and school and the supermarket and whatever else, and we might go out for a hike every now and then, but really we're quite used to walking through quite man-made sort of environments. So that can take a little getting used to, but I remember my sister, who's a high school teacher from Australia, when she came to visit, commented at a school assembly about how fit and healthy the Green School children are, and that is very, very true. It's the adults we worry about a little bit, being a bit more needing to learn how to be a little more sure-footed on the campus. But of course, we're in Bali, we're in Indonesia, we're in the tropics, we're in a developing country, so all the good and the bad that comes with that. So mosquitoes are part of the experience, and yes, we'll have mosquitoes on campus every now and then. At various times during the year, they can be worse than other times, but it's not generally a big problem. So we plant neem around all our classrooms, for example, which keep the mosquitoes away or help keep the mosquitoes away. And we also have a mosquito eradication program where we systematically go through the campus to make sure we don't have stagnant pools of water, so overturned coconuts and so on. Any water ponds and so on that we have on campus, we will have fish in those, and we encourage frogs in there as well, which help keep the mosquito larvae down. So that's that. Question on vaccination in Bali, that's really up to families. We encourage everyone to go to their GP or a travel doctor before they make their way to Bali, get all the information that you need and make your own assessment. The school itself doesn't have a policy on vaccination, but we do ask for that information when you come, just for our records. So Kendall or Catherine, do you want to add something there just in terms of the physical campus and what that experience is like for you two as parents and through the eyes of your children?
Yeah,
okay, sorry, we're each waiting for each other.
We came from a primary school in England, in a little village where we cycled to school every morning, and you entered the school and it was all fenced off and it had a big playing field, but that was sort of the extent of it. And I was very aware that my children might spend half an hour on a monkey climb frame thing for the morning break and maybe another 10 minutes, half an hour at lunchtime, depending on how quickly they ate their lunch. And what's wonderful about Green School for children, particularly little wild feral ones, which I think mine are, is that at every turn there's an obstacle or something to climb on. At every turn, there's something that's been carefully thought out. There are swings next to the warren, so as a parent, you can sit and have your coffee and your children on these wonderful, incredibly tall swings, swinging out across the playing field. There are tyres to climb over. There's a mud pit to scamper around in. It's so well thought out, and every single part of campus is beautiful. Aesthetically, it's so well thought out. It's colourful. Every piece of turf, something has been grown in it. It's not just left to be all scruffy. You know, there are vegetables and fruit and trees and butterflies, and so it's just it's sort of a paradise for children. You know, they've got something at every single corner. So from my point of view, I miss it desperately at the moment because I know how much enjoyment there is for the little ones and the big ones. But it's an adventure playground, the whole thing. It's wonderfully well thought out. So that would be my addition to that.
Thanks, Catherine. Kendall, a few people are saying you're having trouble hearing you, so you might want to speak right into the microphone. And Catherine, I'll ask you to go on mute if you don't mind. I think you've got some little people in the background there.
Yeah, that's sorry about this, guys. I've actually got builders who decided to start, so that's why I keep turning my microphone on and off. But I'm happy to jump in and answer when with specific questions. Is that okay? Can everyone hear me okay?
I think that is better. Thank you, Kendall. Can I ask you a question that's popped up on the screen there?
Sure. Definitely.
Just about parent involvement, so how parents can get involved in the school.
Okay, I think the question the better question to ask would actually how can you stay away from the school, because there is so much there's so much available to do at the school. Green School has so many different things that you can become involved with, either as a volunteer or to further your own personal education. So we have gosh, where do I start? So many ways we can volunteer to help with things that are going on around campus. We have fitness classes on campus. We can learn the local language, Bahasa Indonesia. We can learn Balinese. We can take part in learning how a full rice cycle, gets planted from start to finish. We can learn local crafts. There's so much to do. There's also an opportunity. There are also opportunities throughout the year to organise to go into classrooms and support teachers or provide learning opportunities, based on your experience. We have an incredible parent community here with so much experience from around the world, and Green School really welcomes parents sharing their experience in an organised way. And we have the Bridge, which is Green School for adults. We have, and again, more incredible members from the parent community and from just expats living in Bali, and visitors who come and give presentations and workshops at the Bridge. There are assemblies to attend and festivals to attend and picnics to attend. So it's pretty much nonstop. Yeah, there's no lounging around, that's for sure.
Thanks, Kendall. I know some people are having trouble hearing you, so you're coming through loud and clear for me, but I'm sorry about that if you're having trouble hearing Kendall. But really, just to summarise what she said, I think we love the idea that there's something for everyone at Green School, including the grown-ups. So everything from helping in a classroom to helping with fundraising, to community events, to actually getting involved in projects with students, and also mentoring our students. So we love that, and there's no shortage of opportunities and ways to get involved. We're also open to new ideas and new initiatives. Now, we have full of ideas at Green School. We have a lot of people with a lot of ideas, so not everything gets going, but we love and we're open to all of that. So thanks for that question. That's one of my favourites to talk about, and we could make the whole session just about that. But I can see there are other questions popping up there around housing. That's a great one. Our recommendation for all new families is that when they're coming to Bali, they just take temporary housing to start with, and there's a huge assortment to choose from. Find something temporary, take it for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, come to Bali, spend some time, check out the commute to school, talk to us and other parents in the community, find out where those little enclaves of Green School families are, because they are down by the beach, down south, they are in the mountains near Ubud and variously around the place. And we can give a lot of help with finding out where the best locations are. And also you want to see where other children, other families in your child's class might be living too, because that's really helpful to deciding where you live. But temporary housing, if you take one thing away, find something temporary. Don't book something for a year or more online. You really want to get to Bali and check it out in person. So another question. Oh, yes, please, jump in.
Kate, I was just going to say, I mean, there are so many options, short-term options available, so don't feel concerned about that at all. You can even book something on Airbnb for 3 days or a week before you move on, so plenty to choose from.
Yep, great point, Kendall. Thanks so much. Question about visas, which again, we could spend a lot of time just on the visas. This can be a little confronting when you're first coming, but we have hundreds of families at Green School now, and over the years we've had thousands of families come to Green School. We've all navigated the visa issue. We've all found a solution. There are a few options to choose from as a parent, and the students will get a Green School student visa, a student KITAS visa. But our visa team can help you with that. So can Pancha and Jennifer, who you probably know well by now, in our admissions team. So please reach out to them with that specific question. So we have a question about the teachers at Green School too, and I'd love to share a few pieces of data on that, but I'll also ask Catherine to chime in, because Catherine's husband is actually a teacher, an amazing teacher in our high school at Green School. Catherine, do you want to talk a little bit about the teacher? Maybe you can talk about your husband actually and what he brings and his background.
Hi everyone. So yes, my husband Jeff only retrained to teach actually in 2012. He's from an environmental recycling business before that. So to be honest, once he did retrain to teach, Green School was on his agenda. Perfect school for a scientist, an environmentalist and a farmer in the past. He teaches high school science, but he's also a musician, and he's also taken a lot of iHub projects. So he's helping kids dismantle cars and bikes and rebuild. He's also in charge of the biobus fleet. And the buses use reused cooking oil from a number of different restaurants that they then recycle into biofuel, and that's what our buses run off. So they're environmentally green buses as a result of that. So he's also in charge of that project. So I think really what I would stress from the teacher's point of view at this school is, unlike my husband coming from a state school of 1,400 kids on the south coast of England, where you just taught science and you literally weren't even allowed to step onto the sports field or onto the drama stage or play in the band, it was so streamlined, that is your job, that's it. This school is so multifaceted for everybody. So Jeff is now absolutely in his element because he's allowed to teach everything he's good at. And classroom presence is key for him. So, distance learning is challenging for teachers, I think, but they're pulling it out of the bag, left, right and centre. And it's a huge credit to the people that Green School have employed, actually, as to how they're dealing with this distance learning and how they've adapted to it. They're charismatic, they're passionate, they're fun, they're beautiful people. They're from every country on the planet, and they're just wonderful people. There's a buzz at Green School that I've never felt in any other school I've been to. And I think also the camaraderie between the teachers, because they're allowed to roam and they have these different jobs. They don't just meet in their classroom with their team of 3. They see pretty much everybody all day. So I have a very happy husband who is absolutely delighted he took this opportunity. And of course, he in turn meets a huge variety of children, some who haven't started, some who might have started education in one country, moved to 3 since, some who might have only stayed at the one school, some who are Australian or American or European, every walk of life. And that's a big thing to adapt to too as a teacher, I think, but again, where they're all well and truly able at this school. So the teachers are exceptional, and the Green School can proudly say that. They really are fantastic. They're recruited in a very, very thoughtful, careful process, and they're wonderful people. So I can't say enough about them, and I know that they genuinely love the experience of being there.
Thanks, Catherine. And thank you for asking that question about our teachers, because I think for a lot of us, particularly families that came for 1 year or a shorter experience, and really were drawn to Green School because of the concept, the philosophy, and that beautiful, beautiful campus. You know, what we stay for is really the teachers, and they make the difference. And I do sometimes say some of these teachers could be teaching my children in an underground car park, and my kids would have their minds blown open on a daily basis. So the teachers are exceptional, and we are in the wonderful position of having such fantastic choice. We have a lot of progressive educators that want to come and be part of Green School, and we love that. Our teachers work really hard, and they are a total cast of characters, as I think Catherine was alluding to. Lots of personality in there and a real passion for what they're doing. Our teachers also all have a teaching qualification. Most have postgraduate qualifications, masters. We have a couple with doctorates as well. And we also have, as like Catherine's husband, quite a lot of teachers who have done other things in their life, which we love as well. So we have marine biologists and all kinds of other disciplines, artists as well, that have retrained or have come back to teaching after doing other things, and we really love that. So thanks for that. Our teachers also need to have had a minimum of 5 years teaching experience, as well as those relevant qualifications. So great question, thank you. So I can see there's a question there, and thank you, Kendall, for answering the question on the chat around learning the language. We love that, and in fact, we expect everyone at Green School to get the basics of Bahasa Indonesia, and this is part of our commitment to being local, being friends, and showing respect for our Balinese and Indonesian staff, children, and neighbours. So we love that, and we encourage that with our parents as well. And then I saw another question. I'm just glancing over. Okay. In primary school, and actually variously through the school, we may have more than one class per grade level. So there was a question there about that. And that really comes down to how many children we have enrolled at any point. So we have a teacher to student ratio, which is quite low at Green School, and that's policy. So we will break kids out into different learning groups or classes, if you want to think of it that way, so that they all have that low teacher to student ratio, and they have that kind of mama bear, papa bear teacher that really knows them as a whole person. So thanks very much for that. Okay, I am just glancing to the questions. Okay, question about the campus being open in August. So we are absolutely planning and preparing and excited for the campus to be fully open as per normal in August, if not before. So that is the plan. That is what we're feeling confident about at this point. Catherine mentioned earlier that we have at this time got the campus temporarily closed, along with 1 billion, literally, children around the world that are also learning by distance at this time. And while it is no substitute for being physically on our beautiful campus, our teachers have done an incredible job to put together a very comprehensive, holistic, and also incredibly thoughtful program, which is getting better week by week for our families. So understanding the challenges for families and for children at this time, and wanting to make sure that we're really focused on their social and emotional development, the relationship between the learner and the teacher, and the learner and their peers, their friends, and being creative with what we're asking kids to do, and also being creative in how we're offering a sort of menu of options for children and families to choose from, so it can fit in around their lifestyle. So we do, as a kind of contingency plan, you know, we have that in place. If we, for some reason, needed to continue that for a couple of weeks into August, we would absolutely do that for our continuing families, but also for our new families. But that's not something we think we're going to need to do at this point. Thanks for asking, though. Yeah, so I can see there's another question there along the same line. So actually, we're going to send a letter. I've just finished drafting it to all our applicant and registered families for next year to share a little bit more about that. I know some of you are concerned about that and about the campus not being open in August. So we want to be really open with you about that. And so we've written that into a letter that we're going to be sending to you. So it is a kind of fallback position if we needed to offer distance learning temporarily at the beginning of the year. We would certainly do that with a view to getting you connected, getting your child into the learning, getting them to know their teacher and their peers, and then welcoming them physically to the campus as soon as everyone can make their way to Bali. But as I say, we've got that as a kind of backup plan, but that's not the main plan. We cannot wait to get those bamboo gates open again and get everyone back onto the campus. Okay, what else have we got popping up there? So Kendall or Catherine, can I invite you to share any insights you would like to on, there's a question there I can see about opportunities to get involved in community projects in Bali. Or, oh, sorry, Kendall, that's your answer.
That was my answer. I did just see something, a question, you know, why did we choose to come to Bali? I mean, I'm not sure, Kate, just while you're looking at some, if there are any other questions coming through. I mean, I guess, you know, it's so diverse. Everybody comes for a different reason. As I mentioned, I came, my family.
I'm not privy to what courses continue in August because we're told in a couple of months' time, but I just wanted to mention that for the parents, I remember being blown away week one by how many things we were invited to at school, because in my experience, school is somewhere you drop your children off and you leave, and that's it. And unless you get invited to a parents' meeting or a concert, you don't really come back that much. The Bridge, and which is the co-working space at school, and the GSBA, which is the parent committee, and various other organisations within school organise things constantly. So there's this incredible sense of inclusion, which when you move to a new country where you don't really know anyone, aside from seeing people in the classroom, means it's extracurricular for us as well, not just the children. And what I mentioned at the beginning, the rice cycle course is something where we, for 2 semesters now, have been out in the rice fields planting rice and doing a full rice cycle. And if it's not that, the Green School will think up something else. When you get to get involved with the local community in one way or another, there's opportunities to participate and volunteer on so many different levels. And I'm afraid I didn't hear Kendall earlier. My sound kicked out, but I'm sure she mentioned the Parent Association. So we're always keen for people to help. We're both on that association. So I just wanted to say that it's not just the kids that have a ball at Green School, it's the parents too. That was my bit.
Yeah, that's great, Catherine. Thank you so much for sharing that. So perhaps actually when we answer, maybe we put our hand up so I know who's going to go first. That might help, and then I can introduce who's going to speak. So sorry, folks, we're figuring this all out as we go, but we are here for you in our own shambolic fashion, so bear with us. So great question there about graduates and where they go. Thanks for asking that one. We actually have a fantastic graduate infographic, so I can ask our admissions team to send that out and share it. Or if you're not on our new Green School Family Facebook group, now is a great time to join that. So if you've put an application into Green School, you can join that group, and that's a fantastic way to ask a lot of these questions. Kendall's on there, Catherine's on there, other people are on there that can help answer all your questions as well, and we can also share information. But our graduates go to all corners of the globe. We have 44 different nationalities at Green School. And our kids, we have had students go and start their own business, children that go out and volunteer, children who go straight to university, including Ivy League schools in the United States. So our kids can go to all corners of the globe. Like any school, they have to have done the work, they have to apply, and they have to be accepted into university if that's what you're particularly asking about. So the normal kind of arrangements apply. We have our own curriculum at Green School, so children that graduate with the Green School diploma. And these days, we really love that for many schools, particularly more progressive schools, but even the quite established institutions at the university level are really interested in something different, and our kids have the opportunity to stand out of the pack. So my son, who graduated 2 years ago, is in his second year of a commerce degree with an Australian university, but he's also a free dive instructor and comes to Indonesia regularly and works as a free dive instructor. So there's an example of one, but we can certainly share more with you about our graduates, and I'd love to, actually. I feel very proud of them all. So thanks for that question. I noticed another question there about field trips. So camps and field trips. We actually have a program that runs all year long from grade 4 up through middle school and high school, a Wednesday program called Jalan Jalan, which means to sort of get out and about or walk about. And that has our children doing all kinds of things on campus, off campus, and in Bali. We also will have trips, particularly in middle school and high school, that will take children to other places in Bali, other islands around Bali, and within Indonesia. So Indonesia itself is a fascinating country with provinces that are distinctly different culturally and environmentally. So our children have a lot of experiences. So to give you one example, every year we have groups of children that will go to Raja Ampat in Papua, the province of Papua, which is one of the most pristine ecosystems, marine ecosystems in the world. Absolutely stunning. And the children will go there. They will study the environment there, the reefs in particular. They'll snorkel, they might scuba dive, and they also work with a local school there to as part of an English language program. So they'll fundraise and they'll take books and materials. They will work with the children there on their English language skills, and they'll also do some environmental research while they're there and just have a fantastic bonding experience. So that's one example. Okay, just a couple of other questions there on evaluation technique for kids' academic process. Okay, folks, now I'm going to just put some facts out there for you. So Green School is not perfect, number one. Green School is not for everyone, number two. These are some really good points to make, I think, as we're all deciding, and all of us have been through this process of deciding whether Green School is right for us. We know it's a big deal when you're making that decision. And we take a lot of responsibility for the fact that many of our families are moving across the globe to join the school. It's a big deal and it's a big decision. We have no set homework regime in primary school or early years. Your child might get some reading, they might get a little bit here and there, but it is not a preset homework regime. Middle school and high school, you might get a bit. There are no grades in early years, primary or middle school. Your child will not get a grade, as in an A, B, C, D, until they are in high school. We have no standardized testing in Green School unless your child opts into that once they're in the high school, because that's part of their university pathway. So these are really important things to share with prospective parents. What we do have is assessment. We don't do those sort of standardized tests, but we do assess, and it's holistic and it's comprehensive, and it involves the child themselves, their own reflection and their own assessment of their development as a whole human. So we could talk about that all for the entire webinar as well. But I think these are really great points, and these are good questions, and I'm glad you're asking these very pointed questions. Now, that does not mean that Green School does not provide academic challenge for children. So my eldest daughter, my only daughter actually, I have two sons and one daughter, she's graduating this year. She's been at Green School since she was in grade 3. She has almost finished her first year of university while she is still at school. So we have a Start University Now program, which kids can opt into in high school. And she's successfully worked through that, as well as her Green School credits, and has almost finished her first year of university. So I'm just sharing that with you because sometimes I think we get concerned that Green School, whilst providing all this other wonderful magic and a holistic program, doesn't set kids up with academic strength. Well, that child has been schooled all the way basically through Green School. And is academically very, very strong. That's her thing, and that's great. But I think that's worth talking about. So I'm glad you asked that question too. And yes, we do assess, but we do it differently. I don't know if you want to add something there, Kendall or Catherine. You want to jump in?
I was, well, firstly, I didn't know that about your daughter, Kate. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's it's really inspiring, and it's great to know that those options are available as well. I was just starting to answer a question before. I'm just trying to find it again. I think it was a fairly wide general question about why parents choose to go to Green School, and I think every single parent would have a different answer. So if we have time, and I don't think we've got any other questions that have jumped in just yet. I just wanted to share that as with Kate, my family decided to come here. We chose to come here for a year just for a bit of a sabbatical and an adventure and a different experience, and to take our children out of the Australian schooling system, which we weren't that excited about at the time, to be honest, just to look for something different. We have a business in Sydney, which we were able to leave. Many people come on, they're taking a sabbatical year, or they're taking time out to educate themselves in something new. So yeah, I really just wanted to answer that question. As I say, we'd all have very different answers. And I've just seen a question come in. So if a child is in year 3, 8 years old in Australia, which class will the child join at Green School? Kate, you can probably be a little more specific, but it's based on the month that they're born, and also, well, I think that's the main consideration is the month that they're born, and the admissions team can advise on every individual circumstance.
Yeah, so I think that's a great answer, Kendall. We do look at the birth date, but we'll look at some other things as well. So we want the child to fit socially and emotionally as well as academically. So we'll look at all of that. As a general rule, children coming from Australia, because we're on a different school year to the Australian system, those children would generally go back 6 months. So they either have to go back or forward. So generally they would go back rather than forward as a general rule, but we'd look at each child individually. And actually it's worth just mentioning too on that point, this is often a question, people ask how children transition out or back to where they've come from when they leave Green School, if they're not staying all the way to graduation. And we do collect information on that. And of course, like any child moving between a school system and a different curriculum, they might be a little further ahead on something, they might be a little behind on something academically, but generally our children are never wildly out of synchronicity with wherever they've come from or wherever they're going back to. What we do know, and we do have great feedback on, is our children in terms of their confidence as a learner, their social and emotional skills, and their understanding of Mother Earth and global issues is where our kids kind of really stand out, as well as amazing communication skills. And I know the other mums on this group chat with me will agree with that. Our children have generally very, very advanced communication skills at Green School. Thanks, Kendall, for adding to that. So I can just see there a 1 year, asking about a 1 year experience. Okay, sorry, no. All right. Have we answered most of the questions there? I'm just going back and having a quick look. Catherine, do you want to add something else or?
Yeah, I just wanted to, if I may, answer the question from Sarah about what does a regular day at Green School look like for kids between 3 and 6. Our audio cut out when Kendall was talking. Did you cover that, or shall I answer it?
No, please go ahead and answer that one, Catherine.
So, Sarah, my kids are, well, I have a 4-year-old who turned 5 yesterday, so she's in Starlings in kindergarten, and I have a 6-year-old who's turning 7 in July, so he's in grade 1. And grade 1 is split into 2 classes, and there's about 12 children in each class. And their day, so just top line, kindergarten is one of the dreamiest places. The moment I walk in there, I feel so relaxed. There are 3 buildings, Starlings and Geckos. Starlings is split into 2 for the 4-year-olds. Geckos is his own little room, and then Kindy is in another area again. They have safety gates between all the areas. It's delightfully like a little fairyland. It's just it's so sweet. But their classes, they have circle time to start off with, where they sit with the teachers and sing a little morning song and talk about what they've been doing the day before or the weekend. They have their activities vary throughout the day, from mud kitchen to green studies, where they might go and try and find a lizard or a creature or explore the woods. and the jungle, and then they will do colouring and drawing and arts and crafts and you know, lovely basic little literacy. I mean, they're writing their names and they're starting to work on numbers. And then they'll have story time and rest time. They'll have their lunches and their snacks. And they have a gorgeous little structure down there, and it's just this little haven of tranquility, believe it or not, because they're small children. And then grade 1 starts at 8:15 in the morning. They have a really wonderful cross-section where they'll always cover off sport, music, green studies, which is a really fantastic part of the Green School curriculum. They'll obviously do their maths and their literacy. So the day is broken up into 2 chunks, morning and afternoon, and then they cover their specialist subjects. Obviously, each day throughout the week, they tap into something, but some sessions only might do once in the week. But there's a huge amount of time outside and exploring and being at one with nature, and allowing these children really just to express themselves and what they know and what they don't know and what they want to learn. So the approach to teaching for that age group, I think, is incredibly special, and I wouldn't want my children at that age anywhere else, because they are growing up the most extraordinary little inquisitive human beings. And I agree with the eloquency and how these children express themselves. It's extraordinary how much mine have grown just in 8 months. It blows my mind, actually. So that's their kind of general day. They see a little bit of the middle and high school kids when they can take a break at lunchtime. That's grade 1 and up. Primary, obviously, kindergarten stay within their little compound. But the other kids do get a chance to socialise with the older kids, which I think is great. And lots of running around, enjoying the playgrounds. So that's kind of
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. I can see Marion, I think it is, has asked a question there about the distance learning program. And yes, we can share some information with you about that. So we have our Green School Everywhere guide, which is a booklet and describes our philosophical approach, but also examples of the daily schedules and the menu of options and so on. So we can take your details from here and we can send you a copy of that guide book. We'll also put that on that new family Facebook group. So again, I encourage you to join that Facebook group or just ask Pancha or Jennifer. You can just email admissions@greenschool.org. And they can connect you up and get you on that group. So we can keep the conversation going there. One question there, sorry, Kendall, about local being able to connect locally. Now, this is a part of the Green School experience which isn't often talked about, but is incredible. And I have been at other international schools with my children. I have never been at an international school that has a commitment to being locally connected and locally respectful the way Green School Bali is. Now, we don't always get that right either, but this school gives back in a huge way. We give more scholarships to Balinese children than all the other international schools in Indonesia combined, as well as other programs, including a local outreach and integration program that runs after school. So there's a lot to talk about there, but if you come to Green School, you will have the opportunity to connect, as will your child, with Balinese friends, Balinese learners. We get to participate in Balinese ceremonies that are led by our leadership team, our Balinese leadership team at the school. And it really, really is a very beautiful element of the Green School experience, which, as I say, isn't talked about a lot, but actually I think Kendall and Catherine would agree with me is really one of the most precious things that we get to experience there. Okay, so I think we do have a little bit of time left. If there are more questions there. In terms of Bahasa Indonesia lessons for parents, yes, we have the Race to 300 program that invites you to master your first 300 words of Bahasa Indonesia, which is fantastic. Of course, spending time in Bali and at the school is a great way to learn that language because you have plenty of opportunities to practice. It is a relatively simple language. Of course, the children pick it up faster than the grown-ups do, naturally. Yeah, and as I said earlier, we really encourage everyone to give that a go and get involved. The health system in Bali, well, I can tell you it's a lot better than it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago when we first came to Bali. There are international clinics there and it has definitely improved a great deal. One point is that almost anything you want to know about Bali, living there, where to get things, how to fix things, what doctor to see, what dentist to take your child to. The Green School Hive, the collective community hive, is a font of wisdom on anything you want to know about. So once you are here, you just ask the question, and there are different forums and formats you can use to ask that question, and you will get an answer immediately from the collective Green School Hive. So I never have any worries about that. I think those answers to all those questions are just at your fingertips or around the coffee stand every morning on campus. Great. So question there about electronic devices on campus, and Kendall might want to answer that for the younger children. In middle school and high school, we have a no phone policy. So we have a phone bank. All the children put their phone in the phone bank every morning, and they collect it every afternoon. But high school and middle school are pretty much paperless in that they don't work with textbooks, or they might have notebooks, but as in written notebooks. But all children in middle and high school will have a laptop, so some of their learning will definitely be on Google Classrooms and other platforms that we use. And in primary, we have an IT program in primary too, where they use Chromebooks from time to time. Kendall, do you want to add something to that?
So yes, primary school, the children don't need their own devices at all. But if some children do have their own phones, they do have to also put them into the phone bank before school starts, and they can pick them up afterwards. And look, the reason why some younger children do have phones, again, there are many different reasons, but for some, they do travel to school either on the bio bus, which is a biodiesel fueled bus that is on offer for children from various locations around Bali to get to school, or they have their own they have a private driver, and so it's a way to keep in communication with the younger kids. But other than that, there aren't that many young ones with phones, and they don't need computers in the younger years in the primary school. I can just see a question from, I think it's Lucian, budget. I'm not sure what you mean exactly by budget. Maybe you're asking about different budgets for housing, or how, I'm not sure how much you might be wondering how much you'll need to live on. And I mean, there are many different ways that you can live here in Bali. You can live like a king or queen, and spend similar amounts on housing that you would in your own country, or you can choose budget accommodation. And so there's a whole spectrum available to you. Same with shopping. You can go to Western style supermarkets, which, like the health system, have changed enormously in the 5 years that I've been here. Or you can go and Western style cafes and restaurants, high end restaurants that would give your top, New York and Sydney and a run, and London a run for their money. Or you can go to a local warung. It's called a warung, which is like a little takeaway or cafe, local cafe, and you can get a decent meal of rice and veggies for about $1.50 Aussie. So you can live. You can choose to live however you want here, really based on any budget. Kate, I'll just continue while I've got sound. And I said, do kids need their own electronic devices? So yeah, as Kate mentioned, for middle school and high school, the children do need to have their own laptop, but it doesn't have to be, it can just be a very, very basic one, because really they use Google, don't they? They use Google Classrooms. So as long as it has the capability to search the internet and jump on Google, then that's pretty much all they need. They don't need the latest MacBook Pro or anything like that. But yes, they do need to provide their own.
So that's great. Thank you, Kendall. And Kendall's point is really a good one. There really is the spectrum in terms of the lifestyle, housing, etc., that you want to access in Bali, so you can live very simply and very locally, even right around the school, in the area, the villages around the school, for quite a low price relative to what you would pay somewhere else, and you can walk or ride your bicycle to school, or you can go really high end, as Kendall said, and there's everything kind of in between. I think the current situation with tourism, the impact of the COVID virus in Bali and the impact on tourism has meant, and will continue to mean probably for a while, that house prices have definitely moved downwards. So while that is unfortunate for the local landlords, it probably does mean that there is more accommodation on the market to choose from, and probably at a lower price point than we might have seen 12 months ago or so. So yeah, and all the other information about tuition and so on, you can access via admissions or is on the website as well. Scholarships, I saw a question up there earlier about scholarships. We give 43 right now scholarships, but they are all to Balinese children. So we don't offer scholarships or a financial assistance program to expat families at this point in the school's development. So maybe that's something one day we will be able to do, but since the beginning until now, we've really focused on the Balinese children and giving them an opportunity to join with our international community at Green School. Thanks, Kendall, pointing everyone in the direction of the Green School Housing Facebook group as well. So whether you're a fan of Facebook or not, now is probably a good time to get on there if you'd like to, and join those different groups. The New Family Facebook group, the Housing Facebook group are great. Okay. So any last questions, please do pop them on the chat. I think we've just got a few minutes left. We're about to wrap up. It's been really lovely. It's so strange not to be able to have a two-way dialogue. It feels very one way, but I really appreciate your excellent questions, everyone. It's been a pleasure, although we haven't been able to talk back and forth, but it's been great to see your questions come up and to have the opportunity to connect with you and to be able to answer your questions. Kendall, do you want to say any parting last words? And then Catherine too, as we say goodbye to our beautiful group here.
Thanks for putting me on the spot there. Well, I feel like I need to have some sort of speech prepared. No, I don't. Look, well, actually I do. I think the main thing that I'd like to share is that, we are a really, really open and welcoming community. There was a question about, someone coming as a single parent. We have all sorts of, people from all sorts of backgrounds in our community. It's so diverse, and we welcome that. We appreciate that. There are, beautiful gatherings for families, and as you can tell by Kate, who works at the school, we're so open to answering all your questions to the best of our ability at any time. So, do email admissions@greenschool.org. Do jump on the Facebook pages, because there are, so many families in there, parents in there who've got so much information that they're able to share, and they often write back. The nature of social media. You can get questions answered immediately, or, within a very short time from a variety of different people. So there's some really great resources. So I'd really encourage you to use those as well. Thank you. Look forward to maybe meeting you in person one day.
That's great. Thanks, Kendall. Catherine, do you want to add anything just as we're winding up?
Just a very quick parting note to say thank you so much for being inquisitive. Thank you for attending. Really hope we get to meet some, if not all of you, in the flesh in the next few months. And yeah, stay safe. Look after yourselves in this crazy time. Lovely to meet you all, so to speak.
Great. Thanks so much, Catherine. Thanks, Kendall. I noticed a couple of very last-minute questions there. And yes, you might know there is a Green School. Well, it's open now in New Zealand, one that's opening in South Africa, and Tulum, Mexico as well. They are all just at the very beginning of their journey, and of course we are connected to them. We have a relationship with them, and down the track for sure we will be sharing resources, and I can imagine teacher exchanges and families potentially moving between the schools too. But we're in the early days of all of that. But that was a lovely question. Thanks so much for asking that, and that's a nice note to end on. So once again, thanks very much for joining us. It was a real pleasure. Please do reach out anytime. We're here for you. And as Kendall said, and Catherine, we hope we get to meet you in August, and we are going to have the best welcome to the New Year celebration ever. So we've already got it planned. So join us for that. So thanks very much, everyone, and take care. Bye-bye.